She created houses from nothing, I mean, from ruins. And with an incredible aesthetic, the soul is the kitchen, the place where she was doing everything and where she was doing the most important meetings, especially the business one.
So the similarity, Halston would always buy all of her place settings whenever she came out with a new line. He had all the terracotta at his house in Montauk, so the crystal, you know, the bowls, everything. Then he did the fish.
At the time it was allowed. It was so chic, the idea, no? To have this center table with a crystal bowl, Chinese fighting fish.
And heroes' photos.
Stella Splendens, how they call it?
Beta Splendens.
Beta Splendens.
Great.
Yes. Questa foto l'hai fatta tu?
Sì. Però ti portavi dietro una macchina fotografica perché i telefonini non c'erano all'epoca e queste foto come
io c'avevo una Nicormat, cosa così, mi lasciano fare foto dappertutto. It was my first time with this group and I flipped out when I see Warhol, Bianca, Mick Jagger, Marisa, Elsa, Halston, all this group, you know, fantastic. Halston said, listen, why don't you come tomorrow to dinner to my house? Elsa made a bowl of Caesar salad, and then I arrived to Halston's house with this bowl like this. Hygata was against a wall, fell on the floor, all the Caesar salad on top of me, and that's how Halston made me, full of salad.
Eggs and mayonnaise.
Hysterical.
Mariangels, could you please take me some of the album that we have found?
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
She had these albums. Oh, I remember making the bottom album.
You see,
for
Mariangela
her.
is wearing this. This is the Paco cuff, a design that Elsa always loved. Elsa was wearing it constantly, all over her life. Elsa went the first time in Japan in the end of the 60s, around 68, with Paco Rebeso, who was a fantastic art gallerist here in Barcelona. And then she went again in 74 with Harry Platt, and she went to Japan in 1988 with you.
I was taking pictures, so we started in Kyoto, where we spent time with the craftsmen, where I took their portraits.
Because Elsa wanted that her artisans were recognized as the most important part of her creations, and she wanted them to be present.
She honored
somehow
them so much.
In this way, the Japanese pose
And
that
the
is so
traditional
like a statue.
poses.
This installation was done by Elsa
personally curated, placed everything exactly the way she wanted it to be.
The Halston mask.
The bunny mask, the
famous
bunny
bunny mask that Elsa wore for the famous picture done by Helmut Newton. Then there is this sketch, which is a sketch done by Andy Warhol. This is Elsa as a baby.
She has strung diamonds by the yard here. You can barely see, but just perfectly pointed, boom, right underneath her.
Japanese. When Elsa decided to do this bezel for the diamonds and to put diamonds on the body in this way that they look like spark of lights, she didn't know how to call the collection. And Halston immediately said,
diamonds,
why don't you call
by the yard,
yes.
It's so luxurious.
And this is Elsa wearing this ribbon. You know that maybe we have found it. What do you think, Leslie? Could it be? It seems so. Looks like the same.
I think it is. That she kept it all these years.
And this is the catalog. Watch at it.
Look how beautiful. She's wearing her gold mesh. And this was the shell that she wore at Versailles.
Yes.
When she started in the Halston presentation.
And the iconic picture at the Battle of Versailles, you're right.
Where she's kind of profile, and she started opening it up and then, you know, powdering her nose. It's 50 years later, so the golden anniversary of the big event, where there were 5 American designers, 5 French designers. They met on stage in Versailles, and
the history of design changed forever. It's the Azul Montserrat. It's the typical color of Catalonia, replied in every house, in every kitchen. Here we have it. This is a typical Halston, no?
Very simple, very wearable, and put a cape over it or a scarf and a big boot, tall boots above your knee. And
Liza Minnelli
you're
was
out.
crazy for this belt, no? As
She
soon as
always-
Elsa came back from Texas with this design, Halston put it on Liza immediately, and she was wearing still now. We have to remember that Liza is wearing her own Peretti. It's something fetishistic that evidently she feels, that she keep on wearing her own pieces. Leslie, I have always been impressed by that sentence that Joe Eula, that idea of simplicity that Elsa had, that way of dressing a shirt and a pair of trousers influenced a lot of Halston.
I absolutely agree with that. I mean, she was epitomized sort of the liberated woman of the day. It was a new movement, and she was so free. She spread her wings from Italy and took out into the world.
Halston was also the man of the good advice. He was the one that always explained to Elsa how much it was important for her to keep control of her name.
Right. Well, he knew about that, so he was having such great success in the early 70s, and people were knocking off his designs using his name. He asked his attorney, "What can I do to mitigate this?" And he said, "Well, you need to trademark your name."
Yes.
So he trademarked it. And he continued to work on his own for a period of time. But then when the corporation came on board, the corporation owned the trademark in addition to his designs. So it became a little bit more complicated. So he was very versed in all of that sort of legal issue. And I'm glad he gave that advice to Elsa, because
She followed this advice all over her life. E qui era prima di Olympic Tower, quindi stavano da un'altra parte. Bella, no? Questa è Chris von Wagenheim. Questa è Barry Berenson, la foto. Stupenda. E qui parliamo della bottiglia. Ok.
Halston was always forward thinking. He never looked back. He always looked forward. He didn't like the word trend or à la mode. It was just, I'm looking at something in the future that will be new and unique. Just like Elsa.
But you are wearing the bottle of Elsa.
Halston gave this to me in 1972.
She started with the design, get inspired by the design of an Etruscan, how do you say in English?
Etruscan?
Etruscan bottle that she found, and she did this and she hung it and it became a necklace and it was a huge success. And then Halston put a blossom on it
Right.
and put the model on the catwalk,
And it was very successful. The bottle that Halston and Elsa Peretti collaborated on was just one of the best collaborations in the world.
Absolutely. And what do you have any memories of how things happened? Because he was totally in love with the shape of this bottle that Elsa elaborated from the idea of a teardrop.
Right.
She designed this teardrop in Catalonia and working with a Catalan handcrafter, and Halston arrived with the parfum.
Well, he worked very hard developing the chemicals, the composition of the perfume. He wanted to create this beautiful architectural teardrop bottle, but not have a name on it.
Yes.
So in fact, there was a tiny little label at the neck of the bottle, but then when you open it, it disappears. And even when you're through, after dabbing yourself and everybody loving to smell you all around New York,
No need of any label because it was so recognizable, so new, and so Halston and Peretti together. And it was a huge success, $85 million in the first 2 years, the best-selling fragrance in the history of parfum after Chanel No. 5.
it was phenomenal.
Well, they were really helping each other. They were great friends, and it was like if they were married in a way, you know?
It was always a fight, not to obtain what they wanted, but they succeeded at the end.
Well, and they were both such perfectionists, so that's understandable. But yes, and it still lives on.
Still
And
lives on.
in its glory.
Now I would like to show you the first house that Elsa bought at the end of the 60s, because there is a special memory here. This one, it's called Casa Pequeña.
Casa Pequeña.
And Elsa, here it was where Joe Eula came more than once, but I have pictures of him making paella in the garden.
Oh, wonderful. Joe Eula, who was Halston's illustrator for so many years. It did such beautiful, and they were a group of three, very tightly knit together.
There is a beautiful picture that was done by Ian Sanderson, and it was the same light, the same night, the same kind of blue in the sky.
Absolutely beautiful.
And Elsa was at that balcony watching at the square.
Elsa.